Hello, and welcome to this edition of Reporters on France 24. This week we head to Russia, home to a large Gypsy population, a population with no rights and too often discriminated against. A case in point, near Saint-Petersburg, hundreds of Gypsies are being expelled from their houses, which are then razed to the ground by the local authorities. The reason? They settled in the area soon after the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, but they have no title deeds and their neighborhood doesn't even exist on the map. For 20 years, the local authorities did not mind their presence, but with the downfall of the Soviet Union, all has changed. Land has to be registered and paid for. Since 2006, 500,000 Russian Gypsies have been affected by forced expulsions across the country. Despite condemnation by human rights groups and a warning from the United Nations, the Russian Federation has done nothing to solve the problem. Ilham Taufiki went to a village near St. Petersburg to report on the plight of Russian Gypsies. Let's watch her story.
The spring of 2007, soldiers and police move in with tanks and bulldozers. A military maneuver to destroy just 15 houses. Afterwards, only 200 are left standing. Two years on, in the Gypsy village of Tabor, anger still seethes. People here live in constant fear the bulldozers will return.
They have wronged us. God will make them pay. May God strike them dead, them and their children, so that none of them are left alive.
The houses are flimsy, the system of muddy roads, haphazard. It's a place that doesn't officially exist, neither on the map of the town of Chudovo 5 kilometers away, nor at the land registry office, nowhere. This is the man in charge of Tabor, elected by the people. He's known as the Baron. The future of the village's 2,000 inhabitants is in his hands.
Now that there is this housing problem, they come to see me begging for help. The people are terrified their houses will be destroyed.
The Baron remembers when they first settled here in 1986, after fleeing the Chernobyl disaster. At the time, the Soviet regime allowed refugees to settle wherever they could. The Gypsies chose Chudovo. They put up houses without building permits. They signed no official papers. Instead, they had a verbal agreement with local authorities.
Our problems began 4 years ago when the new district chief Zuyev came to power. Before, there was no trouble. We lived well, we worked. The authorities treated us fairly. We got along well with the administration.
After 2005, everything changed. The Soviet era was over and the laws on land occupation had been tightened. Land had to be paid for and the Gypsies found themselves on the wrong side of the law.
Hey guys, do you think they'll destroy these houses? They say they won't destroy them, and everybody hopes that's true.
200 meters away is a settlement known as Little Tabor. Here there's no hope left at all. The court has just made its decision. These houses will be bulldozed in the spring. Yora is one of the unlucky ones. His house was demolished last year. He built another just behind it, but will have to pull everything down again.
They destroyed our houses. My house was destroyed. The police and special forces came with the bulldozer. They razed everything. Before they told us it was okay to build here. Now they tell us we have to go. They want the Gypsies out of Chudovo. They don't want a single Gypsy to remain in Chudovo.
His brother joins us. Mikhail lives in the house next door. It is also condemned.
If it wasn't for the new district chief, our lives would have been good. But God punished him. He was fired. He was taking bribes and God punished him, so he lost his job. He went blind.
The reason given for the demolition, Little Tabor is just meters away from an asphalt factory, a health risk. The factory's been closed for the last 5 years.
I'll show you the Russian houses next door. They let them keep their houses because they're Russian. Our houses are going to be demolished because we're gypsies.
These are the houses the Russians live in. They are built only 50 meters away from the Gypsies, yet they aren't affected by the sanitary zoning. According to the Gypsies, it's a simple case of discrimination, but the authorities aren't listening. They have until springtime to pack up and move out. The brothers take us to Pridorosnaya, 20 kilometers away. It's a muddy pasture land sandwiched between the highway and the railway. This is where they're supposed to rebuild their homes. They've been allocated 16 plots and will have to pay 4,000 rubles to register the land.
They don't give us a kopeck. They tell us to build at our own cost. Move your homes here and pay for it yourself. But we don't have money, we have nothing. Not even a school for our children. And on top of that, they say there are lots of snakes.
Not only snakes, but some unfriendly neighbors too. The doyen of this village has sent a petition to Moscow. The Russians living here say Gypsies aren't welcome, and neither are our cameras.
Hold on, this young woman is a gypsy.
She's not a gypsy, she's French.
Show me your papers, otherwise I won't speak to you. Turn the camera off. I'm going to set the dog on you.
Just give us a word or two before you leave.
Finally, she agrees to come back and speak to us.
They lived around here in '86 for 2 months. We knew very well what they got up to. They stole firewood, they caused trouble all over. I am the doyen here, and I am going to do all I can to stop you moving to this village. Go and live in Chudovo.
We are legally obliged to come here. Look, it's the decision of the court. What are we supposed to do? It's not our fault. They chase us wherever we go. They told us to come and live here. I paid for this land, you know.
Stay in Chudovo. There is nothing for you here.
I am coming, you'll see. I don't have the choice.
Sure, come on over, sweetie.
I'll start building tomorrow.
You can always try.
Next morning, we meet up with the Baron again. For a while now, the rural authorities have been cancelling gypsy registrations. He's demanding an explanation. He knows that if they aren't registered, his people lose their access to free healthcare and family aid. They could even cease to exist legally.
I want to see the register where Tabor is listed, because at the moment they're cancelling our registrations.
There is no register, there never has been. They're just registrations of households. They have no legal validity.
Even if there is no legal value, this paper proves at least that we're registered in this mud hole. You can understand that at least.
I'm ready to talk, but without the camera. Go away. I don't want them showing in France how we disregard your rights.
We decide to ask Chudovo's mayor about the demolitions. He's invited the local press just for our benefit, but the team from the mayor's office obviously didn't expect the Gypsies to turn up as well.
Are you filming already? I repeat, I am here to speak to the journalist and her interpreter. Do you understand? I am only going to answer their questions that are on this list.
The United Nations says you have to pay us compensation when you destroy our houses. If you aren't going to do so, be honest about it. Tell the UN that you don't treat the Gypsies the same as other Russian citizens.
Right, I've got to go.
No, I have been to his office. I voted for him, and he destroys our homes. What's this rubbish?
We'll talk about it later. Calm down. There's always a solution.
He wrote this. It's you that wrote this. He was director of water services. I came to see him.
Calm down.
He said, vote for me and I will solve your problems. I voted for him and I told the other gypsies to vote for him.
We're going now. Okay, thanks, we're going. Problems with the gypsies? There is no problem.
No problem.
From time to time, the problem does come up. But there are no people of gypsy nationality working around here. It's probably linked to the fact that they earn their living in ways that aren't always legal.
There's no such thing as gypsy nationality. The gypsies are first and foremost Russian. And there's another issue. The gypsies have lived in Tabor for 20 years, albeit illegally. Russian law says they should therefore be able to claim the land as theirs, but that's not the case. Why?
The gypsies don't have any papers for the houses that they have built on the land since 1986. The gypsies are all there illegally.
He doesn't answer the question. It seems the official plans for Tabor have been finalized in any case. Secret for the last year, now the authorities are ready to publish them. Tabor's future is laid out. How many houses will be demolished, which ones and when. Back in Tabor, we meet a lawyer from an NGO who's acting for the gypsies. He's just back from the mayor's office.
What did the mayor say?
I'm going to tell you.
Did he show you the official plan?
Yes, he showed me.
What about my house?
It looks as if it won't be demolished.
How many will be demolished?
Out of 141, 48 will be destroyed. 1/3 of Tabor.
And if those 24 houses are not renovated, they too will face the bulldozers.
Of course you won't get any compensation, but you could borrow the money.
Who here can afford the repayments? Let's not even talk about it.
The gypsies could always try to fight this. They could try to make sure more houses are left standing. We can ask for more precise legal clarification on the reason for the demolitions.
In other words, play for time. But the Baron hasn't the stomach for it.
They say they're going to demolish Tabor. I feel so sad. Where are the people supposed to go? All of Tabor, even the children. Where can they go? I'll tell them to prepare to leave, but where to, I don't know.
The village of Chudovo is not an isolated case. Since 2006, 500,000 Russian gypsies have been affected by forced expulsions. Despite condemnation by human rights groups and a warning from the UN, the Russian Federation has done nothing yet to solve the problem.
Well, the reporter behind the story is here with us on the set. Welcome, Ilham Taufiki. Thanks for being here with us. It's really a heartbreaking story and it's surreal at the same time. You don't see how the gypsies can win, do you?
Non, ils peuvent pas gagner. De toute
No,
façon, dans le cas de Chudovo,
in the case of Chudovo, all of their demands have been rejected and have run out. The result is clear, they have to leave, even if there is a sort of status quo, precarious but one. They have a deadline. We don't know when the houses are going to be raised, but the end result is the same. They have to leave.
Where can they go? I understood from the story they have to be registered in order to have access to health and education. So where can they go and get registration?
Well, that's the terrible thing. They don't even know it themselves. That's what the person says at the end of the report. They absolutely don't know where they can go. Those who have been expulsed previously in other situations other than Chudovo have joined up with existing camps, but are also going to be demolished. So the history or the story is going to repeat itself until Russian authorities understand that a law has to be passed that encourages Rom culture.
And there is, tell me if I'm mistaken, but there is clearly a case of racism against these people. I mean, that's something you felt?
Yes. A great deal of racism towards Gypsies, Rom Gypsies. They are duly handicapped. They're a victim of racism that all Gypsies and Roms are submitted to or subject to throughout Europe. They're considered to be thieves, drug traffickers, dirty. These are arguments that are put forward by local authorities to be able to justify with public opinion evacuations, expulsions, and of course the media carries on these stories. And for a short amount of time as well, we have been seeing racism against Chinese. This is a word to mean black people, coloured people, all dark people, Azeris, Armenians, Chechens, Gypsies, and it can end up in bloodbaths. We've seen this recently. A few years ago, we saw African students being hit and messed up by skinheads. The Russian laws actually are quite permissive towards this type of racism.
Well, thank you very much for being here with us on the set. Well, that's all the time we have for now. Do join us again next week for another edition of Reporters. Goodbye.